Hi, hello, and welcome back to Films as Food, where I geek out about films that I like and then take inspiration from them and create food. Little disclaimer, if you are 100% against spoilers of any kind and have not seen the film that I'm about to talk about, I recommend that you put this video on pause, go watch the film, and then please come back. Okay, let's get started. So the film that I'm going to be talking about today is Interstellar. Interstellar is a sci-fi film directed by Christopher Nolan. The basic premise of this film is the protagonist, Cooper, is set to go into outer space in order to find a new planet for humans to inhabit. So there are many reasons why I absolutely adore this film, and one of them has to be that the scientific notions and the scientific theories that are played upon in this film, they are meant to actually be scientifically accurate and based on theories that actually exist. So in order to create this film, a lot of research and a lot of preparation was put into the actual story itself. Also, another thing that I love about this film is that Christopher Nolan worked together with his brother to create the screenplay and to bring this film to life. And you can see that that kind of brotherly or that family love is in this film because of the realism that is brought into it again by the storytelling and the acting itself. So yes, this film is about a group of people who end up going into space trying to search for a new planet that we can live on, but what helps to ground the film and what helps to ground them as characters as well is the fact that they still have family on Earth, and it's their connection to Earth and to humanity or the environment. Their familiarity with that and their love for that is what really helps to bring this film home. Another aspect of it that I absolutely love is the story of this film. Without giving away anything, hopefully, the story comes around full circle. It's a film that just makes you feel so satisfied after having watched it. Also, I personally found myself being absolutely taken away by the original score for the film. The original music was produced by Hans Zimmer, and most of the music that played in the film that resonated with me was in the scenes when they were in space. So the music itself, it's beautiful, it's haunting, and I feel like that goes to further exemplify how it feels to actually be in space and to be in that situation. So those are just some of the reasons why I love this film. It's actually really amazing, and I don't want to give away too much. That's why I really can't talk about a lot of the aspects that I really like about it. Please, if you have not seen it, please consider watching it. Okay, so now for the food inspiration. For this film, I'm going to be making a corn cake with a galaxy mirror glaze. Corn cake because at the very beginning of the film it's already stated that farming has become a very big part of people's lives on Earth because they're actually having a lot of trouble farming produce. And the main character, Cooper, was originally an engineer, but he later became a farmer because there wasn't any work for engineers really. They needed more people to help make food for people living on Earth. And there were some different types of foods that weren't being able to be made any longer, but Cooper came up with the idea of planting corn. He was like, I'm gonna make all this food and everyone's gonna be fine. Also, fun fact, Christopher Nolan actually did plant all of the cornfields in this film, and then later on he sold the produce and made quite a bit of a profit apparently. So our base is going to be a corn cake, and on top of that I want to make a galaxy mirror glaze, which is basically a shiny coating on top of it, and I'm going to try and make it look like a galaxy because come on, Interstellar. So hopefully I'm going to be able to put in some colors. In order to put the galaxy mirror glaze on top of the cake though, we're going to be making a buttercream between the cake and the glaze layer. Okay, so on to the cooking. You're gonna need some milk, flour, baking powder, granulated sugar, powdered sugar, salt, 2 eggs, but I only ended up using 1, some butter, and some corn. For this, I mixed together some finely chopped up corn kernels and some whole kernels as well. White and dark chocolate, condensed milk, vanilla essence, and gelatin. Also some blue and red dye. And some shiny little sparkly bits to put on top. Now on to making the cake. First of all, preheat your oven to 180 degrees. And in a bowl, combine 200 grams of corn and 250 milliliters of milk. Mix it up, and once it's all mixed, add in or dump in 2 cups of flour, 60 grams sugar, an egg, and a pinch of salt. And again, mix until it's all combined. And last but not least, add 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Once that's all mixed, set the batter aside. Prep your cake pan with butter or oil, and then pour in your batter. Once the batter is in the cake pan, you can tap it lightly or kind of shake it lightly to make sure that there are no air bubbles inside. And then bake it for 50 minutes. Straight out of the oven, it looked like this. To make sure that it's cooked, put a skewer through the middle of it, and if it comes out clean, then it means that it's baked through. Gently take it out of the cake pan and let it cool on a cooling rack. After you've made sure that the cake has completely cooled, we can go on to making our buttercream frosting. For this, in a bowl, put in 150 grams of butter and mix it until it's creamy. I used a hand blender. To this, I accidentally added 200 grams of granulated sugar. Please don't use granulated sugar, please use powdered sugar. And a pinch of salt, and mix it again using the blender. Once it's looking nice and creamy like this, add in 2 tablespoons of milk and 2 teaspoons of vanilla essence. Again, blend that all together and it should end up looking something like this. To this basic buttercream, we're going to add some blue and red food dye. I decided to mix the color in by hand, and after a while it should end up a purpley color if my color theory is correct, but it ended up kind of being grey. Which is also okay though, because it's only just going to be a base for our mirror glaze. Now onto the frosting. So I just cut the top off the cake to make an even base for the frosting. I know this is a weird looking cake. I messed up something with the recipe and it's looking so dense. But anyways, put the buttercream frosting all over the cake on the top and on the sides. Try and make it as even as possible, and then once you're done, put it in the freezer. You want to make sure that the buttercream frosting is frozen before putting the mirror glaze on. So after the cake has been in the freezer for about an hour, we can go on to making our galaxy mirror glaze. First, to prep the gelatin, in a bowl add in 90 ml of cold water and 15 grams of gelatin. And once you've made sure that it's all mixed, let it sit for about 10 minutes. While that's happening, in a pan, add in 45 ml of water and 150 grams of granulated sugar. Because I accidentally used the granulated sugar for the buttercream, I only had the powdered sugar left, so I ended up using powdered sugar. Let that mixture simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes. Turn the heat off and then add in the gelatin that we prepped before and 100 grams of condensed milk. Mix it all up and then add in 150 grams of white chocolate. Blend it all together and it should end up looking something like this. And then strain it to make sure that we get a smooth consistency. So the base of our mirror glaze is finished. Separate this mixture into 5 parts. Now for coloring, I couldn't get black dye, so I added in dark chocolate to one of the bigger bowls of the mirror glaze in order to get a darker color. And in 2 other bowls, I added in blue dye, the same blue dye. One of them I added in a lot more than the other, so I would get a darker blue and a lighter blue. And in the last bowl that I colored, I added in a little bit of red dye to get a pinky sort of color. And back to our biggest bowl, I added in some blue dye into this. It ended up being kind of a greeny seaweed color, which is okay as well. Oh, and yes, one of the bowls I left completely undyed because I wanted that whitey creamy color. Now that all of our colors are ready, we can start pouring them onto our cake. So first, get the base color, which is in my case the greeny seaweed color. Add in the darker blue. Don't mix it too much. I think I mixed it too much. And then pour that mixture over the cake. Make sure that it's evenly distributed. You should get kind of a marble effect. I got it slightly if you look closely, but I think if you mix the mixture less before pouring it, you'll get more of a marble effect. Now with the leftover 3 colors, using a spoon, drizzle those colors randomly on top of the cake. And with a knife, spread and mix the colors together. And then sprinkle your little shiny decorative pieces on top. Let the mirror glaze set in the fridge. I left mine in the fridge for a few hours, and when I took it out, it ended up looking like this. Did someone say galaxy mirror glaze cake or hot mess? This is a slice of the corn cake with the galaxy mirror glaze. Before we go into even tasting this cake, I really do have to address the fact that, in all honesty, I have not actually made a cake this bad in my life before. I am absolutely gutted. I feel like I have to apologize to everyone even watching this. This is a cursed image of a cake. I don't really know what I did wrong. One thing that I can think of is that the baking powder that I used may have been quite a bit old, so maybe it didn't really work. But we're still gonna try and give it a go, because you never know, it might be amazing. First, I'm just gonna try a bit of the cake by itself. Okay. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. The cake, obviously it looked very dense, it is very dense. It doesn't taste bad though. It's a little sweet, but not too sweet, and I think part of the sweetness is coming from the corn. And I actually really like that. I think it's quite yummy. But the texture of the cake is, it's almost rubbery. Now to try the cake with the buttercream and the mirror glaze. Surprisingly, it's actually not that bad. The mirror glaze obviously has a slightly rubbery texture to it because it has gelatin in it. That is normal of gelatin, so I'm not surprised about that. Because we mixed in the chocolate, it tastes like chocolate, so it's yummy. And the buttercream is a buttercream. So I accidentally put in granulated sugar instead of powdered sugar, so obviously there is a bit of a grainy texture to it, but other than that, it's nice. Okay, so my final verdict. How much do I think that my corn cake with a galaxy mirror glaze dish represents Interstellar? Well, I have to say that it does not do it justice. There you go. The film is absolutely amazingly immaculate, and my dish was, well, I had a few problems with it. That's why I would say it didn't turn out as good as it could have, or it should have. I think the concept that I had was good, but the execution was just not up to par. Visually, did it look appetizing? I think everyone can agree with it not looking appetizing. This was my first time trying to make a mirror glaze for any sort of cake, and I think I went a little bit overboard trying to make so many different colors of it, because then the gelatin started to set. It's something that I would definitely like to try again, but this time unfortunately it was a bit of a fail. Yes. How did it taste? The taste wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was actually gonna be pretty much inedible, but it actually tasted pretty good, and I like the taste of the cake. It was just something about the consistency of it that I didn't get right. If it was fluffy and it tasted like this, I think it would actually be so nice. The buttercream was a normal buttercream. The mirror glaze as well, it was really yummy to eat. It tasted mainly like chocolate. If you've seen Interstellar, what did you think about it? Did you like it? What was your favorite scene? My favorite scene, well, it's one that's shown a lot when people talk about this film, but it's definitely probably gonna have to be when Matthew McConaughey is in the ship watching the videos. What do you think about the scientific notions and theories presented in this film? Personally, I think they're really interesting, so I actually went into a bit of a deep dive. Thank you so much for watching this video until the very end, even though I absolutely failed. Hopefully I will not fail in the future. To see me succeed, please consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up. Again, thank you so much for watching until the very end, and hopefully see you on the next one. Bye!